Welcome to the M&A Unplugged podcast. Our mission is to help you be better prepared for your business acquisition or sale. Being prepared will ensure you maximize returns and minimize risks. This is M&A Unplugged with your host, Domenic Rinaldi.
Welcome back. I'm Domenic Rinaldi, host of the M&A Unplugged podcast. Interested in hearing about new ways to grow your business? If so, you're going to love today's episode. My guest, Jaryd Krause, specializes in helping people buy online businesses. He's successfully acquired and grown several of his own online businesses, and he's seeing an uptick in traditional businesses looking to grow and diversify by adding an online business component. He's so passionate about this that he now dedicates his time to helping other people buy online businesses. He's a guru and a hell of a nice guy. What you'll hear today is that there are many opportunities to plug an online business into your traditional business with a path to immediate revenues and profits. Listen in and think about how this strategy can help you accelerate your growth. Before we get into the episode, if you want to avoid common deal pitfalls, the risk of losing substantial dollars, you need to know how ready you are for a transaction. Because I believe proper preparation is so critical to your deal success, I have decided to open up enrollment in my coaching group for applicants who are interested in improving their knowledge and skills on how to buy or sell a business. I'm limiting enrollment, so contact us as soon as possible if you are interested. You can do that by sending an email to info@k2advisor.com and mention that you're interested in our coaching. Being prepared is critical to ensuring that you maximize returns and minimize risks. Thank you for being here and hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hey, Jaryd, welcome to M&A Unplugged.
Hey, Domenic, thanks for having me. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear you had me on your show a week ago, and I'm really excited to have you here because, as you mentioned on your show, you and I do the same thing, but you do it with online businesses and I do it with offline businesses. And it was fun chatting with you about the parallels of what we do. Maybe you could start with, how did you get into online businesses? Share with the M&A Unplugged community a little bit about your journey.
It was a bit of a struggle, I'll tell you that much. So I used to be a plumber, and I went through the schooling system and realized, like, all right, cool. I got dubbed not smart enough to get a desk job, and so I went through and thought, all right, cool. What's the highest paid job, in the trade? So I went and became a plumber, and I just didn't like it. I worked my way up through the ranks and became supervisor, and I just really hated doing that type of work. And I found myself getting heavily into drinking and partying and kind of like numbing out on the weekends. And I found myself saving money and running off overseas. And from doing so, I did that on many trips where I'd go away for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. And one of my trips, I was living in Egypt, and I thought, I don't want to go back to this lifestyle. I need to do something online. And so I typed into Google how to travel the world and make money online. And what popped up was of all these crazy things. People were travel blogging and different things, and travel blogging became a standout. So I started travel blogging. I thought, all right, I'll put my hand up. I'll go 100% into this. And I did that for quite a long time. Did that for 2 years. Didn't make much money. So I thought I'd start my own website business. Didn't make much money either. I didn't know much about digital marketing at the time. And I came back with my tail between my legs to work in Australia, and realized that after I came across this quote, or I think it might have been a stat, that 90% of all startups fail. And I thought, well, if 90% fail, why don't I go away and buy one that's past that 90% failure rate? And that's where I turned to online and thought, all right, I know a little bit about websites. And I typed into Google again, how to buy websites. And then came up, a bunch of stuff, and I slowly started to teach myself. Nobody was really out there doing what I do now, and guiding and teaching and helping people buy sites through due diligence and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how I got into it.
Wow. you don't look old enough that you would have traveled the world and gone away for 6 months and come back and gone away. Like, I can't imagine you did that very many times. You just don't look old enough.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I've been to every continent. I did travel for a long time. I've been to every continent except Antarctica.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time overseas and spent a lot of money. But it was definitely worth it. There's the worldly experience that you gain from doing that.
Yeah.
It really humbles you, and you become so grateful for everything that you have around you, especially when you go to these, developing countries.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, thankfully you got all that stuff in before the world's gotten a little bit crazy. It's a little bit harder to do that these days, right?
Oh, so hard now. Oh, impossible, actually. Yeah.
And so you got to the point, I'm going to fast forward. So you got to the point now where you have this really successful business called Buying Online Businesses, where you're helping people buy online businesses. But you didn't get there. You didn't develop that by going to Google and just reading up. You learned it, School of Hard Knocks. You bought a few of your own.
Yeah, correct. So I went through and I bought my first business, and I learned a bit, and I was like, wow, hang on, like this is actually making money. And I was really excited. And then, I think it was 6 or 7 months later, I bought another one. And over that year span of buying my first 2 businesses, might have been a bit longer, maybe been 14, 15 months, I started earning more money from my websites than I was from my full-time gig as a supervisor for this plumbing firm. And then I bought another one. And then that's when people started, I quit my job after 2, went traveling for a year and a half and surfed through Central and South America. And then people still like, hang on, dude, like, how do you do this and not work? And they find out, and then they're like, man, you need to teach them this stuff. And that's when, after that trip, I just went full into help mode, I guess, service mode, and teaching people what, like, the process that I sort of learnt myself.
Yeah, what a great journey. And you found something that you obviously love, and you're helping tons of people. There's so many parallels between offline and online. And I constantly tell people, especially first-time buyers who are coming to us, that are grappling between starting a business and buying one. I think for the most part, unless they have a really unique idea that they can get good funding for, you're 9 times out of 10 always better off looking at buying an existing business. You walk into existing employees, current clients, a brand, all sorts of stuff that it might take you years to build, if you can even build it. You might not get that far.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? This is a sore pressing point for me, because I went through that stage of, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to sort of make a good amount of money and make a living on your own, start your own business. And everybody's under this misconception that you should, if you want to, have your own business, you need to start it from the ground up, and you need to be self-made, and all these things that I feel certainly put millennials back even further than where they were at when they first started. And not just millennials, but kids, that are trying this and putting all their money and time and effort and energy into it, and they just come away with their hands burnt and trauma on, like, I'm not going to go down this route again, when they can actually have that lifestyle as a business owner if they learn from somebody that, say, such as yourself, that can, buy a business that's already established. And I've already had people we got a mutual friend that actually introduced us, and we had a good talk on my podcast about how much it actually costs to start a business versus buying one. And it can end up costing more, and you can still, that learning curve is still got that failure rate. Isn't it crazy?
You're so right. I mean, there's this fallacy that if you start a business, you can do it on a shoestring and you can incubate it for a while. But what people don't realize is, if you're not bringing in any money, so assuming it's not just a side hustle, I mean, you're really trying to start a business, you're not bringing in any money. So you're having to pay yourself plus fund the business. And I'm big on return on invested capital. That's sort of my ROI analysis. So every dollar you invest, it comes out of your pocket. What kind of return did you get on that? And when you're starting a business, the returns are negative because typically, you're starting from scratch. Whereas you take a pot of gold and you put it into buying an existing business that has cash flows, you can calculate a return. Even if you have to take on debt, you can still calculate a return.
Yeah, you know what you're getting into when you buy a business because you can see the prospectus, you can see the business. In your case, you can even touch and feel it and walk through the shop and the franchise or whatever it is. It's just so you're hemorrhaging money and you just don't know. You can't calculate that. A lot of people, like you said, is that they're trying to pay themselves a wage. I think a big stat is that most people don't pay themselves a wage. And when their startup goes under, 90% of those people, they've done all this work, spent all this money, and they've never paid themselves the whole time through it. So they've, taken income away from themselves twice in terms of putting it into a business and not paying themselves. And I've done it. And it's not nice.
Well, Jaryd, I'd love to talk a little bit about online businesses and how it can enhance an offline business, given your experience. Because, as you know, most of the folks listening to M&A Unplugged, our audience, are really in mainstream sort of offline businesses. But there's a real opportunity to tap into what you're doing to add in an online component to their businesses and really scale their businesses dramatically.
Hugely. We're talking briefly about, I think this might have been last week we're talking about it, is that somebody, people come to me and say, hey, Jaryd, I've got this existing business. For example, one guy, he's mentioned, hey, I've been in business 25 years. We spend, multi-million dollars on businesses in the construction and that sort of industry, in HVAC and all that sort of stuff. And it can be anything from electrical to plumbing as well. And they've got these businesses that they go away and purchase. They're not the operators, but they own these businesses. And they're like, how do we grow these businesses? And a lot of people are turning to myself and the internet to go, hey, I can buy a lead generation website that can bring in business to and merge these two businesses together and bring in a bunch of new business to what we've already got. And people are just building these portfolios of online and offline. And I think it's a really cool mixture because you can have multiple different lead generation websites or content websites that we may talk about, and these different types of online business models that can bring in traffic, can bring in leads, and also bring in a bit of money themselves. But also pushing that towards those brick and mortar businesses, those offline businesses. It's just a really cool combination in the sense that things can change online, algorithms and things and business models can change very quickly, and things can change in the offline world, and where we may not be getting so many leads from just our offline like funnels, or however you like to call them, our offline streams of how we get people in, the online may pick it up, such as COVID, where people are like, hey, we don't want to be letting people into our home to fix our air conditioning and all this sort of stuff. But, we can get quotes online and put a deposit down and get it cheaper when people do start to open up their doors and that sort of stuff. So there's really cool opportunities.
I think that's a great example, because when you think about it, if as a business owner, you have multiple opportunities to grow your business. And the one that I hear most often is, I'm going to go hire a salesperson. That's almost like a startup, right? I mean, especially if you don't have a sales force, you don't have a sales manager that can train that person and manage them day in and day out and help them be successful. So you're hiring a salesperson and then you're relying on them to go out and generate business. Whereas that's probably the same amount of money you could take and invest in buying an online business that could generate leads. It's already generating leads. And so
Correct.
you've made an investment in something that's a known quantity versus,
Already
going out
measured. Yeah, like you said
already.
before, it's calculated. You know what you can ROI can be when you hire a salesperson. Not only is it the hardest one, in my opinion, one of the hardest people to manage, because a salesperson and they're great at what they do, but they can be very emotional as well. Really hard to manage a sales team, which I've done myself. And you don't know how they're going to perform. When you could pay them $60,000 a year, you could buy a business for $60,000, and you can calculate and know specifically how much business that's going to bring into your business, how much is going to grow your offline business, and then how much that online business is going to grow at the same time. And I think it's far more attractive than going away and hiring one salesperson. And you could, instead of hiring a sales team of maybe 3 people or 4 people, you could buy 4 lead generation businesses, or you could buy 1 to 2 that are bigger and more stable. And they're far more lucrative investments and easier to manage and easier to run.
Yeah. And so if I'm an offline owner, right, and I haven't done this before, what are some of the things I should be thinking about if I'm going to venture into looking at online businesses to plug into my offline business?
I think one cool thing that I think everybody should start to look at is go to website brokers and just see the businesses that are listed for sale. So much like when you're listing a property for sale, people will list a website or an online business for sale within these different website brokers. And there's a number of them. They're popping up all over the shop, especially in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can see, just like you would with real estate, how much that business costs, what's their asking price, what's their average net profit per year, what's their average expenses per year, and you can calculate how much they're making. They'll send you the prospectus, and you can go through and start breaking it down and doing due diligence on it if you're going to go down that route. But I think that's a good place to just start and sort of, if you're just planting the seed for somebody through this podcast episode, and they just want to put a little bit of water on it or to see how this is looking, they can go to the different brokers. So type in website brokers in Google, and there's a list of them you can go and look at.
Got it. Well, that's a great place to start. And you can sort of feel through. Same thing happens in the offline world. There's a bunch of websites you can go to, and you can see what's out there, at least kind of, gauge, what you might be interested in. But if you're an offline owner and you have no experience in managing an online business, what do you need to do to be prepared to successfully, and we're leaving due diligence out of this for the moment, but I'm skipping forward and thinking, okay, so I go out and I want to buy an online business, but how am I going to manage it? Because I don't have the skill set or the expertise internally.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the cool thing about somebody already being a business owner is they've probably got a good mindset. I would be very confident to say they've got a good mindset, and they've probably got some good processes and systems down pat in knowing how to hire people and all that sort of stuff, and managing a team and whatnot. Not that they want to do that, but they may want to at the start. So there's 2 different options. You can buy a business and you can take it over, a lead generation business or a content website, or any of these online businesses that can push people to your core business or your platform business or your lead business, whatever it is in your portfolio. And you can hire a COO, okay, so a chief operations officer, and they can run the business for you, and you can just have a meeting with them once a week, once a fortnight, whatever it is, and they can tell you what they know and what they would do, and you can sort of make those lead decisions. Or when you buy a business, you can buy a business like you probably do with a bigger offline business, is you can buy the team. The team comes with the business, and you can step in and just sit on the board, be a bit of an advisor, learn from them, and start to make some conscious decisions. Or you could hire a CEO who has run multiple online businesses to sit on the board with you, and help you make those conscious decisions as well, depending on how big the business is as well. And then if you really want to get your hands dirty and you want to start to learn how to buy multiple ones of these and sort of start to put CEOs in each one of them, then you can start to learn as you go through that process, or you can learn as you purchase the business. I think the best education, and this is a sort of a second order consequence of doing due diligence, is that you look at so many website businesses and you learn so much about the online space, and those little things that you learn, you put them in your memory bank, and they actually help you grow the business. You look at these different strategies that businesses are using to help them grow their business, and that can be different types of digital marketing. It can be different types of content and all these different things that a lot of your audience may not know about right now, but you pick up on these things as you do due diligence, and that's really cool. That's going to help you even if you were to just become an advisor to a CEO.
Yeah, because one of the challenges that I see in the offline space, Jaryd, is, people don't necessarily live and breathe Google algorithms, and they don't understand how the digital world works day in and day out. So I think it's a bit challenging for people to take that step and say, okay, I can easily fit an online business into my offline business. But I know in the back of their heads are thinking, I have no idea, if I buy a smaller one, how I would fit that technology into what we do. We don't have the people to manage it. So you'd almost have to buy one that has a team with the knowledge. But if you didn't, are there resources out there that you could hire on a part-time basis that could help you manage, an online business?
Yeah, there certainly are. There are people that help you that are in my space that are, they don't have the most capacity, and this space is still growing as well, but there are people that do help, run businesses and manage businesses, certainly. So I would say, if you're coming down this route, seriously, you can reach out to me and ask, and it's going to be dependent on the business you end up buying, because some of these people are really specific in one type of business model, as opposed to other. And I know multiple different operators and funds and things that people may want to be a part of. So I'd say reach out to me and ask and be more specific, and then I can help put those people in the right position for different operators, or at least help them sort of find somebody who may be right for that type of business. Yeah, but there's definitely those options. You're welcome.
Hopefully you're going to get some calls. Let me
look forward to it.
Let me ask you from a diligence perspective. So we'll go back here a little bit. I skipped forward to how you integrate something, but let's skip back to diligence. You and I had a little bit of a conversation about maybe some of the differences between online and offline diligence. What should people be thinking about as it relates to diligence for online businesses?
Good question. There's some key areas, and we'll just touch on those because there'll be the higher level things that you need to understand throughout those types of due diligence, and then it will filter on through there in different things that you need to check. So the first thing would be traffic, like how much traffic is coming to the website. So you just need to verify that. You need to see if the traffic is trending up, down, sideways, and why. Same with an offline business, like how many people are coming through the doors, and what's that trend look like. So traffic is an important one. And you also need to look at like, what's the environmental changes to that traffic. And that could be, the Google algorithm changes. It could be Facebook algorithm changes. It could be a number of things. So you need to be checking that stuff. SEO as well. You need to be looking at SEO, which is search engine optimization. That's what it stands for those who don't know. And within the search engine optimization check, you need to look at what sort of links are coming into the website, links that are coming out of the website. You need to be looking at like the bounce rate of how many people are coming to your shop or coming to this site and then leaving straight away. The picture that a website paints is an SEO profile. And you want to look at the SEO profile to see how healthy that is. And you can relate to that to other different sites as well. We won't get too heavy into the technical stuff here. And then marketing as well. You need to be looking at the marketing. That's a similar questions you need to be asking, like what's working with the marketing, what's not working with the marketing. and learn more about their marketing funnel and how that actually, or their sales process and how that's actually working. And that can be not just marketing on Google ads or Facebook ads, but also their email marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the last two is financials, very similar to what you're doing in the offline space.
Yep.
You want to be verifying those. Traditionally, when people started buying websites, website brokers and sellers would send or post screenshots of somebody's books and send a profit and loss statement within an Excel sheet. I think a lot of your guys listening to this are pretty savvy in knowing that is not verification, and any old figure can be put into those. So certainly make sure you can get viewers access of their merchant account and viewers access of either their business bank account and maybe even their books as well. So certainly look at that. And the last one is competition. So what's the competition look like? What are they doing well? What are they not doing well? What can you learn from the competition and do yourself as a new owner of this business? And what would it take for you to outbeat the competition if you could? And what's the how realistic is that? And if it's not, that's okay as well. Just know, are they so big that they're going to in turn crush you over a certain period of time? And if so, what would that time be? So all these different things you need to be learning throughout the competition, but they're the main ones. So I'll run through them again: traffic, SEO, marketing,
environmental changes.
Yep, exactly. In that one as well, financials, and then competition. So they're the five main sort of areas you want to be looking through throughout due diligence. Yeah.
It's very similar to offline. Maybe traffic is measured different. So we would look at, how many clients do you have? What's the repeat? So this is a different traffic measurement. But there's the example of online versus offline, right?
Yeah,
when it comes
exactly.
to financials, we're always wanting to verify tax returns when it gets to a certain stage, because I've never seen anybody over-report their revenues and under-report their expenses when they submit their tax returns to the government. So that's usually our standard bearer for checking financials as at least a first level, and then you dig deeper from there.
I like it.
Yeah. But there are so many benefits to having an online business. 24/7 access, right, and global access, right? You're now not worried about just a trade area. Who knows where clients are going to come from, right? You might be able to deliver your services in a cheaper fashion, or a way to maybe bring your offline product into online and deliver it at a lower cost.
Yeah, certainly. The opportunities are absolutely endless, and our space, the online space, just changes, a lot and rapidly, and it's really cool because just the opportunities just infinitely abundant. I think those two words are the best way to describe it. And say, for example, like you said before, you can go global. You buy a lead generation website, the traffic comes in and you gather their data and their information for a problem they want solved. And that could be anything from electrical, HVAC, it could be emotional healing as well, like psychology, and it could be virtual or offline. And you can sell those, you can take those leads that come into your jurisdiction in your area or your country or wherever you're practicing in the offline business that you own. Those other ones that you get from around the world and they start to grow, you can sell those leads off. So that can be a good income earner for the business as well.
Yeah, that's
which is cool.
A great point. Yeah, it's a great point.
And then, you're selling products in your physical store and you go online you may start to put those products on Amazon or start to sell them online. And then that online business might override and become more valuable and do more business online than it does offline. You open up your whole market
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. And not just because I'm huge about value and serving, and those who add the most value in business have the most valuable life, I believe, or, really good life. I think it's quite equal. And when you do that, it's not you're just serving one area, you're serving the whole world possibly. And it's just, you get to help more people with your business. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it goes so far beyond, you have a fixed location and you add an online business. I mean, you think about distribution businesses and you think about manufacturing businesses who maybe traditionally have thought, well, I have this, group of clients that I service. Well, maybe you could start servicing accounts all over the world potentially, or at least in a broader geographic area by going online. And a website, oftentimes is just not enough. You need another component to that. So,
Yeah.
Jaryd, in our coaching platform with K2 Advisor, we help people understand how to buy a business, everything from sourcing to evaluating, diligence, all the steps that get people to the closing table. And I know you run your own platform. Do you take it from a life cycle approach? Do you help people understand how to source right through how to close a transaction?
Correct. Yeah, all the way through. So a lot of people that come to me, I traditionally started teaching people who were in the trenches, literally in the trenches as a plumber or a sparky, and started teaching people that were tradies because I wanted to help people get out of that lifestyle, because I think that's quite toxic, especially not just for the body, but the environment and the mindset of some people on the job site. I just don't think it's healthy. And I wanted to remove people away. I wanted to help them get out of that. So a lot of people traditionally started coming to me with zero experience. And still, even today, people will listen to my podcast and be like, I know nothing about this. They'll consume every single episode of my podcast. And they'll go, all right, cool, I want to start this. They've learned a little bit. And they come in with almost no tech skills. All the way to them owning their first website business and running it, and also scaling it and growing it. So a big part of, I've just opened up just recently my mastermind, where I stopped one-on-one coaching for a number of years, and opened up my mastermind to people who've bought businesses and take them to the next level with the businesses that they have bought as well. So it's a fun experience.
So just to be clear, you run a membership site to help people to learn how to buy, and now you're doing a separate mastermind once people have bought to help them to scale the business to the next level?
Yeah, correct. So when you join the membership, it's just self-paced. You can learn as you go, break down all the lessons, learn everything. They obviously get a little bit of help from me and guidance and support. They ask questions into the community. And everybody helps one another, which is quite cool. We do some virtual events and stuff like that. And then once they've bought a business, they can, in the community as well, I still have lessons on how to grow your business. So they don't need to work with me one-on-one and join the mastermind. They can still grow their business with being a part of the community still. But if they want strategy and really take it to the next level, that's where they start to work with me. And I offered this because I was getting great results for clients years ago. And we've already started getting great results now, but it's come to a certain point that you don't need any more data. You don't need any more information. You don't need to watch any more videos. You need somebody that's been there, done that, and can look at your specific business and give you the right strategy tailored to where they're at. And I think that's a whole nother step.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I get that. I have the same thing in our coaching where, we'll help people at the early stages, but if you really want to scale, you can't get it all online. Sometimes you just need somebody to, put their eyes on it and talk to you and hear about what you're trying to do. Sometimes you have to put it in a context and understand, well, where are you really trying to get to? So we can help you move the needle.
Yeah. And I also heard in different places, you pay for the information, not the information that you don't know, but the strategies and information you should not use or go down as well. Because when you're online, there's information overload, and there's like 2 gazillion, and I could say in the opportunities are infinitely abundant, like I mentioned before, in ways you can grow your business. And that can send you any old way and take you completely off track. And I find that happens a lot with business owners when they get to a certain point. And it really is so valuable to, to the book Essentialism by, I think it's Greg McKeown, is just knowing what to say no to and knowing what to focus on is key.
Yeah. Hey, Jaryd, it's been such a pleasure to have you here. I really appreciate all the information. If folks in the M&A Unplugged community wanted to reach out and get in touch with you, how could they best reach you?
Sure. Just go to my website, buyingonlinebusinesses.com. So it's buyingonlinebusinesses.com. There's a contact page there. And if people want to, go through all my free resources and podcasts or whatever, they can check that out there as well.
Awesome.
And thanks so much for having me. It has been a blast. I love talking about business.
Yeah, it's been really great getting to know you and share and compare stories offline to online. So all the best, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Domenic. Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. All of today's information will be available in the show notes. If you enjoy our content, please remember to subscribe and review our podcast. I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of the M&A Unplugged podcast. And until then, please remember that scaling, acquiring, or selling a business takes time, preparation, and the proper knowledge.